In our last session, we discussed overcompliance with the Blue Card system, and today we will cover who in council needs a Blue Card. This video series will provide information about the Blue Card system and help you determine who needs a Blue Card to work with council. This is a 4-part series.
The Blue Card system regulates activities that are essential to children's lives, such as childcare, education, health and disability services, as well as services which are good for children's development and well-being, things like sport, recreation and cultural activities. We check and monitor people who work in these industries and help organisations to create safe environments for children. However, the Blue Card system does not apply to every environment where a child may be present, and not everyone needs a Blue Card. All children in Queensland have a right to be safe and protected from harm. The Blue Card system is regulated by the Working with Children Act. To require a Blue Card, a person's paid work, volunteer or business activities must fall within the scope of one of the 16 categories of regulated employment or 12 categories of regulated business. Organisations should not adopt a policy requiring individuals to obtain a Blue Card if the work they are doing is not regulated by the Blue Card system. If a person's activities don't fall within the categories of regulated employment or business, a Blue Card is not required. Whether a person requires a Blue Card will depend on several factors, including the environment where the work is performed, the type of work, and the frequency of work.
On the screen, you will see a list of regulated employment and business. The most common areas where council work relates to are the Knowledge Centre, Arts Centre, Childcare Centre, Community Pool, Sports Centre, Library, Health Centre, Vacation Care or Holiday Programs, and some range programs. Some positions will require a person to have a Blue Card because of the environment where the work is performed, rather than the type of work that is being provided. To give you an example, under the Education and Care Services category of regulated employment, a person will need a Blue Card if the usual functions of their employment are carried out inside an education and care service. Other categories will require a person to have a Blue Card based on the services or activities they are providing. This includes the health counselling and support, private teaching, coaching and tutoring, churches, clubs and associations.
If the work fits within a category, we now consider whether an exemption applies. There are certain exemptions which allow people to work or volunteer with children without requiring a Blue Card. Some categories allow exemptions for volunteer parents if their child is attending or participating at the organisation. However, each category which has this exemption is slightly different. Volunteers under the age of 18 years old will not need a Blue Card. They can apply, however they will not receive their Blue Card until they turn 18. People working with kids for not more than 7 days in a calendar year do not need a Blue Card, even if the work they are doing is regulated by the Blue Card system. A calendar year is defined as from the 1st of January to 31st of December. A day can be anything from 1 hour to 12 hours. The 7-day frequency test applies to paid employees, students, and volunteers. It does not apply to regulated business. Business operators require a Blue Card regardless of how often they work with kids. However, there are stricter requirements for people who rely on these exemptions, and in certain situations cannot rely on these exemptions to work with kids. This refers to restricted persons and restricted employment, but we will talk more about this later. There are also certain professions that are exempt when the person is acting in their professional capacity. These include registered health practitioners, police, and teachers.
Certain people cannot apply for a Blue Card. These are disqualified persons and negative notice holders. Under the Act, there is a list of offences which we refer to as disqualifying offences. If a person has ever been convicted of a disqualifying offence, it is an offence for them to apply for a Blue Card. A negative notice is when a person has previously applied for a Blue Card and based on their known past police or disciplinary information has been assessed as ineligible to hold one. When this happens, we issue them with a document called a negative notice. Both disqualified persons and negative notice holders are a restricted person.
I've used the term restricted person a few times now. So what are they? A restricted person is somebody who has been convicted of a disqualifying offence, been issued with a negative notice, had their blue or exemption card suspended, been charged with a disqualifying offence and the matter hasn't been finalised, or is the subject of an adverse interstate working with children check decision that is in effect. Restricted employment refers to situations that allow a person to work with children without a blue or exemption card, such as a volunteer parent, a volunteer under the age of 18 years old, a person who works with children for not more than 7 days in a calendar year, a person living with disability who is employed at a place where the person also receives disability services or NDIS supports or services, or a secondary school student on work experience who carries out disability-related work under the direct supervision of a person who holds a blue or exemption card. Penalties apply to both individuals who continue or start in restricted employment as a restricted person and organisations who employ a restricted person in restricted employment. So you can now see why it is so important that council does not over-comply with blue card requirements, because a negative outcome can place a parent in a difficult position. We will talk a little more about obligations for council during our next presentation.
Once it's established the work falls within a regulated category of employment or business, no exemptions apply, the work meets the frequency test, and the person is not a disqualified person, a negative notice holder, or restricted person, they can apply for a blue or exemption card. A person can apply for a blue card using the online applicant portal or the paper form. We also have online videos to help those who need guidance using our online systems.
To assist local council with identifying which roles require a blue card, we have developed a fact sheet itemising various roles within council and the blue card requirements, if any. Some roles within council, not all of them, will require a blue card. These include working inside an education and care facility while children are present, carrying out lifeguard duties at the community pool, teaching cultural activities or art classes to children, and conducting children's groups within a library. On the screen, you'll see a list of roles within council which do not require a blue card. We know that there are some positions in council that cross over when other staff are on leave, so we can assist you with how to manage succession planning as well. That concludes session 2 on who needs a blue card. Next week, we will be discussing council's obligations under the blue card system.